Good morning, everyone. This is Leah Dixon in Port Coquitlam, British Columbia. I am going to be stamping with you today for day 7 of my Stamping the Rainbow extravaganza. This is my final day. I'm kind of sad to be reaching the end of the rainbow here, but we've gone through all the colors of the rainbow and we've reached the pot of gold. So today I'm going to be showing you how to make an awesome greeting card gift holder to put those 6 cards in that we made as we stamped the rainbow. And yeah, I won't be posting the measurements or anything here on my Facebook page, but after the video's done, I'll go over and I'll make a blog post and put in all of the dimensions and like proper illustrations and stuff to show you how that was done. It's just easier to do that on a blog format than here on Facebook. So before I pop over to my desktop, I'm going to say a little hello here. So hopefully that allows me to see your comments as you guys pop on and share stuff. And now I'm going to switch over to my desktop and we will get started creating. Okay, so let's just make sure. Okay, good, I did transition to my desktop. Excellent. All right, so we have got here our Pretty Perennials stamp set. This is the stamp set that I'm going to be using to do some of the decorating on our gift box, but today most of the work for our gift box is actually going to be creating with cardstock and creating that structure, and then we'll get into a little bit of the decorating for that. So I'm going to move this out of the way right now and pull in some cardstock. So I always kind of make a prototype before I get started. So if you guys want to grab some cardstock and play along with me, just grab, like, I don't know, I usually grab my least favorite color and use that. That way when I mess it up, it doesn't matter. Because inevitably, the first time I make 3D objects, I always mess them up. And I've got here a little bit of a diagram to help you out. So if you wanted to grab some paper and work along with me, this is 11 inches by 7 1/8. So I just took a regular sheet of cardstock, this one's crumb cake, and sliced it down so it was only 7 1/8 inch wide instead of 8 1/2 inches wide. And then I also grabbed 2 pieces that are 3 inches by 7. And then just an extra chunk, like this is a leftover piece from here, and this was cut down to standard card front, like whole card front, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So that's all in crumb cake. So I'm going to put these ones to the side for a moment. We're going to start with kind of the body of our greeting card holder. So again, this is 7/8 by 11. And I'm going to need my paper trimmer for this. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is take off my cutting blade and actually put it somewhere safe. Too often I accidentally run through something I'm supposed to score with my cutting blade if I leave it on and I'm trying to flip back and forth between the two. So, not going to happen today. And then I'm going to open this up so I've got my full, this actually goes all the way up to 17 inches. I don't need that much. All right. So now I'm going to open this up and score this at 4 3/4. So there's 4 1/2, 4 3/4. And this, oh, sorry, with my 11 inches at the top, I'm going to do that at 4 3/4. Oh, I've got too much stuff on my desk. So 4 3/4. So my long edge is at the top, and I'm doing 4 3/4. And then instead of trying to figure out what my other measurement's going to be, I'm just going to turn my paper around and score at 4 3/4 again. So basically what I've just done here is I've created a book front, a book back, and a book spine by doing those 2 score lines. Now I'm going to turn it so that I have my 8 1/2 at the top. And I'm going to score this at 1/2 inch. And I love this trimmer because it actually has the measurements on both ends. So at 1/2, and then I could actually, here I will, I can come in here and do 1 1/8 as well. So what I've done is I've created like a little bottom here that's going to flip up and create a base for putting my cards in. Okay, So there we have it. That is our body of our card. I'm just going to set that to the side. And I'm going to continue with all my scorings. And I have these two pieces here that are 3 inches by 7 inches. So I'm going to start with the 7 inches up at the top. And I'm going to score this at 3/8. So these are really small measurements. You're going to learn your fractions doing these ones. So 3/8 and 1 1/8. There we go. And then I'm going to flip this around and do the same thing on the other end. And I'm going to do it again on the other piece. So it's a lot of these tiny measurement scorings. So 3/8 and 1 1/8. So there's a quarter. So halfway between a quarter and a half is 3/8. And halfway between 1 and 1/4 is 1 1/8. And so we get really practiced at this, doing it a lot of times on this card. 1 1/8. There we go. Now we're going to take both of these and put our smaller end up now, our 3-inch end up, and we're going to score it at 2.5 inches. Just once. Okay, and we'll bring this one in and do the same thing. Just once. All right, so that is all of our scoring done now. Well, for now, I should say. Chandra, hi, good morning. That's awesome. I'm glad that you're catching me. If anybody's catching me right now and you want to make sure that you don't miss my videos, if you go into your settings and change your notifications, you can set them so that anytime I post or come on live, you can see what's happening. This week's been pretty crazy. I don't normally do 10 a.m. every day of the week. It's just for my extravaganza. Normally you can catch me at 9 a.m. on Tuesday mornings because normally I'm not on spring break and I, have stuff to do. All right, so I've put this one up here just to kind of really show you where our score lines are now, and we're going to actually do a bunch of cutting. So to start with, we're going to come in here, and this idea of coming in and really gently just cutting out ever so slightly. Oh, I lost that little triangle bit that I just cut off. Like, that's how slight we're cutting. That's strange. So it's called mitering. And so we're just going right up to where our score line was and then on a little bit of an angle. And so we're going to miter all of our little flaps. And so when we miter these two flaps, that does mean that the corner falls out. And that's okay because that's going to allow this box to go together a whole lot easier. Okay, and we're going to come in here and miter as well. And actually, I'll just bring this up really close so you guys can see. There's the score line that goes straight down. I've just come in just ever so slightly and cut back in until I reach the corner where the two score lines met. So that's our mitering. So we're going to do that in a whole bunch of spots. And I just realized as I'm cutting, I'm covering up the sample that I put out to show you. And then this one, you could use your paper trimmer and put that cutting blade back on to cut this really nice and straight. Or if you feel confident with your scissors, which clearly I do, or I'm just not that worried about it being too straight, you can come in there and cut out that whole intersection. Okay, and then we can just put that into the scraps bin. I usually save those to stamp small sentiments and stuff on. Okay, then we're going to miter these corners here, and that corner piece is going to fall out again. And then finally, we're going to miter this top corner. All right, now, if you missed that whole process, it's okay, because I get to do it another time for you. And then you can also come in here. I personally just use my thumbnail, but you can use a bone folder. It probably creates a nicer look. And just really make sure that all of these lines now get really good creases in them. Okay. The fact that I use my thumbnails to do this might be why my nails are always kind of raggedy and look like I've been in the garden too much. Well, today I'm blue from yesterday's ink pad. All right, so we're going to do the exact same thing again here. So I just kind of work my way around. So I miter the top corner, I miter this bottom corner, and that's going to actually remove that piece. I miter this and this, and then cut out that whole inside piece. We're doing this twice because the greeting card holder that we are going to make actually is going to have 2 pockets in it. Good morning, Stacy. How you doing? All right, so pop these off to the side. I love finding new ways to create kind of gift wrapping for cards. I love our mini pizza boxes for making note cards and hand delivering them. The mini pizza boxes for 3x3 like little gift cards. Our mini paper pumpkin boxes for small gift cards. And then when I'm gifting larger cards, I always try and either use our clear acetate boxes and decorate them up nicely or create something like this. So this particular box is kind of a hybrid. I found 2 different tutorials, one of them by Connie Stewart. She's the Simply Simple Stamper down in the United States, and she created a box like this, but it only had 1 giant pocket in it, and it didn't feel very sturdy to me. And then Rachel Tessman had this other great box that had the double pocket, but the way she attached her pockets, it seemed like if you didn't use the exact right adhesive, you'd have it fall apart on you pretty quickly. So I took the 2 designs and came up with my own measurements and melded the 2 designs together to create the box that you're going to see today. All right. So now we've got our 2 pockets ready to go. We're going to set those off to the side, and we're going to come back to our big box here that we are going to be designing with. And we need to do a little bit of mitering over here as well. So the first place that we're going to do some cutting is actually, we need to cut out this whole section right in the middle. Okay, the whole thing. Right up to the second score line. Okay, so you can see there's a score line there and one there. We're coming all the way up to that second one because this is our, like the center of our box. This is the spine, and I don't want any extra material kind of hanging around in that area. All right, so there you have it. That's done. Whoops. And then when we do our mitering on this one, we only have to miter to the first score line. So I'll just make the score lines a bit more clear to you. So there's one there and one there. When we miter this one, we're only mitering to that. Okay, and we have to do it on both sides. Now, what I like about this design is that this piece right here that we're working with is the bottom of our pocket. So it's part of the actual box. So there's no chance that the bottom of our pocket holding all of our cards can come loose and like nothing's going to be able to fall out, because this is literally going to fold up like that and our cards are going to sit in there. So it's really, really nice and secure and going to keep our projects nice and safe. All right, now we can also come in here and go over these lines right away. All right, so let's move that out of the way. That's just my template to remind me where to fold and cut and everything. And we're going to start building. So, good morning, Lila. So when we're building this box, I do recommend a really strong tape. So Terran tape, Seal Plus, whatever you have that you feel is your strongest adhesive. Good morning, Janet. So I am going to take this strong adhesive. I'm actually going to flip my box over so that I'm working now with, I guess, what would be the outside of my box. And I'm going to put a piece of Terran tape across that outer flap. Now, when I do this though, I want to put it as close as I can to the score line, because the score line is actually what's going to be kind of like that's the visible part. When we put down our pocket, it's going to come right to that edge. So we don't want a loose edge there. So that's why we're doing it right at our score line. So I'm going to do that on both pockets. Basically everything we do now is double because we have 2 pockets to work with. So tear and tape right at that score line on both sides. And this is essentially the outside of your box right now. Okay, so with that done, we're going to grab our little pockets and we're going to put some tear and tape on these guys as well. Now with these guys, same idea. We're going to do it right at the score lines. We want it on the 4 outside flaps. And so again, this is what will be the outside of my box. And so I'm putting it on technically what will be the outside because we'll flip these in to adhere everything. So a whole bunch of tear and tape along all these edges. Now, normally I would have like pre-prepared some of this, but I know for myself when I am creating 3D objects, I really need to see things repeated and really see it happening. So I didn't pre-prepare any of this so that you guys can see like everything happening double, which will hopefully, like it does for me, help you guys to really understand like what's happening where we're putting things. Okay, so we've got our second pocket to do now. I've tried to watch like some of those demos who fast forward everything for, you know, for the sake of time, because these 3D project videos can be a little bit longer than a card video. And I can't even, I have to watch it so many times and pause it, and it ends up being quite frustrating. So hopefully I'm going slowly enough and repeating this enough that you guys are getting the drift, because once you see this finished project, you're going to want to go make one. And this video will be available here on Facebook, or if you find that difficult to find things that have gone by, it's on YouTube and it will be posted on my blog as well. All right, so here we go. Now we get to the like actual let's put it together phase. So we want to fold that up, and this is going to get adhered right there. So it kind of like it just perfectly interlocks. These 2 little flaps come down on either side, and the base of this lines up with our score line where our tear and tape is. So we're going to peel off this piece of tear and tape, and then we're going to very carefully line this up before we press it down. Okay, so that's all lined up. And now I can press that down to really adhere it. Okay. Actually, I'm going to do this one more time. Just this. So this is just my tear and tape. There's my score line right against my tear and tape. So I'm going to peel that up. I'm going to take my little pocket, line it up before I press down. So once you press down, it's really going to be sealed. There we go. Now you can do this with liquid glue. It's just going to be a lot slower because you're going to have to wait for each of these sections to dry and really seal. But liquid glue does seal up enough that this would totally work. Okay, so now that we've got that attached, we're going to come in and take off our 2 pieces just on one side at a time. I find works better. So I'm going to do one side here. So I've taken off those 2 bits. This little tiny flap is going to get folded in, and we're literally going to like roll this up so that it lines up with our folds, and then we'll just leave that one, and we'll come in here and take this off, and we'll fold up this side again so that we're really being slow and careful that we're lining up along the outside edge. And then finally, oh, I should have taken this one off before. Darn it. That's going to be hard to take off. This is why I take these all off before I start folding. It's easier to peel them off when they're flat on a surface. Okay, so now with both of those sides, those are sticky. This is the trickiest part, is we want to make sure that this is coming in flush with our folds, because if it doesn't, it's going to impact how our card folds. Sorry guys, hopefully you guys can still see what I'm actually doing here. But it's super important that those are not beyond the edges, because otherwise it won't fold in nicely like that. Okay, and then to adhere this, you can stick your finger in there and rub that down, or grab your bone folder and just kind of rub that down. Okay, there we have it. So now I'm just noticing here my bottom corner wasn't cut quite right, so it's doing this weird little fold thing. So I'm just going to come in here and give that a little bit more of a snip so that it sits nicely. All right, there we go. Okay, all right, perfect. So with that done, that side's done, we're going to come over here and repeat the process. So this time I'm going to be a little bit smarter about all of this. I'm going to peel off all of my adhesives at once. It's just going to be way easier. There we go. Come on. All right. So again, we fold in these little tabs and then just focus on one at a time. The other one's not going to stick down to the point where you're not going to be able to move it. And so we fold those in so that they line up nicely. And then we fold these ones down again so that they line up. Now, I do find this inner one is the more crucial one for getting perfectly lined up, because if he's in beyond that fold, you'll never get the box closed. This outer one is just for cosmetics. You don't want it sticking out because it'll look weird. Okay, so now that those are in, we'll just double check that our box folds. Okay, there we go. All right, not quite as perfect as my last one. Okay, well, it's still going to close, and once we get cards in it, it'll be even better. Okay, so there we go. So we push those down so that everything's going to stay in place, and now basically what we have is we have this box that's going to close and hold our cards. So what we need to do now is fill this up. Oh, I need to actually stick that down. There we go. We need to fill this up with cards and decorate it and find a way to seal it. And we're going to do that with a ribbon. Okay, so I'm actually going to put my cards inside this. I think it's going to give a little bit of stability to the box while I'm decorating it. So I'm going to grab those 6 cards that we created this week. So 3 are red, orange, and yellow. I'm going to pop them in this side. There we go. And then we've got our green, our blue, and our purple card to pop into the other side. And now we can start decorating. So I'm going to start on the inside of this card to decorate. I've got 2 pieces of designer series paper here. These are from the Fine Art Floral designer series paper, and I cut them at 4.5 by 2 1/4, so it's going to create like a perfect little border in there. And I'm just going to attach these with liquid glue. So you can do any designer series paper you want. I just chose this one because it goes so well with the gold acetate that I'm going to be using on the front of this box. So here we go. Just glue that on. Now, once you get really skilled at these, you will know what parts you want decorated, and you could have actually glued these on before you even created your box. But when you're first doing them and you're learning how these boxes go together, it's just easier to fix a mistake. Like if you scored something or glued something in the wrong direction, it's easier to fix it if it doesn't already have nice decorations all over it. So that's why we're going to add these as an afterthought, but we're adding them after the fact instead of before. But yeah, once you get really good at doing these, it is definitely easier to add these kinds of embellishments before you put the box together. All right, so there's the inside of our box all decorated. Now we're going to close it up, and we're going to put a wrap around this. But before, actually, did I do my ribbon first? No, I didn't. I did my designer series paper first. All right, so I have a piece of designer series paper. This is the same one that I just put on the inside of my paper, and I'm going to go ahead and score this again, just like I scored my original box. So this piece of paper is cut at 5 3/4 by 11, and I'm going to come in here and score it at 4 5/8, and then from the other end again by 4 5/8. And that's going to give me exactly what I need for having a nice spine, the same size as the spine that's already on this box. And you know, the other way you can do this is to not score it. Just glue this down and wrap it, and do it that way. That works perfectly well as well. And just before we glue ours, I'm just going to actually crease my score lines. Sorry, there we go. So just creasing those so that we can see this is going to fit nicely just around like that. So yeah, that's, oh, the spine was not quite right. Oh no, what happened there? That's strange. So this is why sometimes you may not want to do your scoring ahead of time, because now I'm going to have to come in and do a second score line just a little bit over. That didn't quite line up. That's strange. Worked very well on my first one. All right, so I saw how far over I need to move that score line, so I'm just going to come in, score it a second time, and refold that. All right. So, grab that second score line. There we go. All right, so now for this one, because the box is already put together, normally I would just glue this on, but because the box is already put together, I am actually going to use tear and tape to adhere this, just because it's going to be a quicker hold without me having to mess around with liquid glue on a flimsy surface. So I'm going to make sure that that front edge of my card is really well adhered, and then the back corners where it's going to hit the spine, I want to make sure there's lots of adhesive there. Okay, I don't want it puffing out at my spine. And then again, that front edge. Okay, there we go. And a few more just for good measure. So now with all this tear and tape on here, we have to peel all of this off and start to attach it to our card. But I'm not going to peel it all off in one go. I'm actually going to start with the front of my box, because that's the part I worry about the most, having it look straight and look really well done. Not that I don't worry about the rest of it, but this is the part that people are going to see first. So this is the part that I'm going to line up first. So I'm going to line up that edge, like the fold, and then come in here and adhere that. So right now it's just stuck along that front edge. Now I can come in and remove the bits here along my spine and really secure that. Okay, then we'll fold that and we'll flip our project over. And now we'll remove this second piece here at the spine. So it's really just taking it one step at a time with the adhesive, so that we don't end up with it all stuck crooked or, you know, whatever. So then that new fold was perfect, and you can hardly see my other fold, so that works out well. All right, and then this actually just looks like it's a little bit long. It comes a little bit further over than I had hoped. So I'm actually just going to grab some big scissors, and you may want to actually use a paper trimmer to do this, but I'm just going to be brave and use my scissors to trim this. So you may want yours just to be a tiny bit less than 11 inches, just so that we get that proper border around the whole thing. That might be why my 4 5/8 scoring in didn't work. My paper was just a little too long. All right, and now that this is the right length and everything, I'm going to come in and remove my tear and tape and let this stick down to the outside of my box. Sometimes I have trouble with these sticky strips and removing them. There we go. All right, so again, if you do this before you glue everything together, it's very, very easy. And yeah, so you can glue all of this together before you've put the box together, and then it's super simple to decorate. But the first time when you're making the box, you don't want to ruin your designer series paper as well as your cardstock. All right, so now that that's done, we're going to attach a piece of fine art ribbon, about 30 inches long. So I think that's like all I have left on this roll. There we go. So I'm just going to take this tape off the end here. There. All right, so to attach this, I'm going to use some Seal Plus. And I'm only going to use it across the front though, and it doesn't even matter. Oh, I had a bit more than 30 inches. Okay, that's all right. So what we're going to do here is we're going to decide where you want your ribbon. I kind of like mine down right, like a little bit lower, so that it's right at the top of where the box piece is. And so I'm just going to put a little strip of Seal Plus on here. And that's going to get covered up. So if my ribbon doesn't lay exactly over top of that, I am not worried at all, because that stickiness is going to get covered up by a decorative piece. Okay, so that's the only place where a ribbon is actually attached. It's loose everywhere else. And then we're going to come in here and tie a nice bow along the side. And this is why I kind of like it to be down where the box pieces come together. Okay, there we go. Tie a nice bow. And then when you trim up the ends on this bow, you want to trim them up so that you're leaving a lot of extra ribbon, so that when the person who's using these cards opens the box and uses a card, they then have enough ribbon left like to retie it, and it's not going to be tricky. So if you cut your bows too short, then they'll have a tough time retying this. Okay, so I'm leaving those nice and long. And so I've got that beautiful gold bow there on the side. And now, I really didn't do a good job on putting this box together. Sorry, guys. I'm going to set that off to the side, and we're going to create basically a card. We're doing a full-size card for the front of this, just only doing the front half of it instead of doing a folded card. So this is a quarter of a sheet of paper, essentially. It's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So if you take a piece of crumb cake and cut it in 4, that's what you're going to end up with. We're going to layer some stuff onto that. So I've got here a piece of So Saffron, and this is my normal mat size at 4 by 5 1/4. And then I've grabbed a piece of the absolutely gorgeous Golden Garden Designer Series acetate, and this is 3 3/4 by 5 inches. And all these measurements will go onto my blog, so don't worry about trying to remember those. But basically we're going to create this layered effect, and we're going to just glue this all together. So my So Saffron is going to get glued to my crumb cake. There we go. And then to attach this Designer Series acetate, I am going to use some seal, and I'm going to kind of do a cheat here. I have cut out a tag from our Stitched So Sweetly series. And so I'm actually going to flip this over so it's upside down. I'm going to kind of see where this is going to go. And I can see that it's going to go right here and here. So that's where I'm going to put my adhesive. So, because you can see the adhesive through here. This sheet is very sturdy. It's not going to bend and flop, so I don't need to adhere it right out to the corners. It's like, it's very, very sturdy. It's like a thin sheet of plastic. So that's adhered right there. You can see that adhesive, but it's all fine because we're going to come in and attach our label over top of that and hide all of that adhesive. Oh, thank you, Eva. All right, so on our label here, we're actually just going to put that to the side for a moment. And we're going to get a piece of scrap paper, and I've pre-punched, well, not specifically for this project, but I have pre-punched some small blooms. I was saying the other night in a class, anytime I have scrap paper, I grab my small blooms and punch it out and create like a little box of flowers. That way I'm not wasting any paper when I have scraps and stuff, and then I dig through my box of flowers and find what I want. So here I've grabbed, I'm pretty sure it's Flirty Flamingo, Calypso Coral, and Blushing Bride. And then a scrap of Whisper White. Now on my scrap of Whisper White, I'm going to use some Calypso Coral ink and my gorgeous Happy Sentiment from the Pretty Perennial. So here's where we're finally incorporating that stamp set. So I'm going to stamp Happy right there. And I don't even have to worry about like lining it up or anything as long as it's on the paper. Voila, because we are going to fussy cut this. Sorry guys. That is happening. We are fussy cutting this. So I need my snips. And kind of funny, I got this beautiful scissor, like you tuck it in there to keep the tip of your paper snips all safe, and kind of identifies your scissors from somebody else's when you're at like a larger event. Not that we're having any of those anytime soon, but and it's apparently my favorite color combo here with the Calypso Coral and everything. Kind of funny that that's the one I would have gotten. It was kind of random. All right, so now to fussy cut this, you can draw like a little pencil line all the way around, and then cut along your pencil line. I tried that the other day. It worked okay, but I'm not really good at cutting on the lines, so I am just going to pretend that there are lines here for me to cut on, and then I won't have to go back and erase any pencil marks later. So you're just trying to keep a small border as you draw a line with your scissors. And it's really, you'll notice my scissors are always pointing in the same direction. It's really my paper that's moving, not my scissors. So like when I do this corner here, I don't twist my scissors around, I twist the paper around. Okay, just about done our fussy cutting here. All right, so we're just about near the end of this project. Thank you guys for watching and checking out this greeting box. I can't wait for you guys to see the finished product. While I'm doing this fussy cutting and some more gluing and stuff here, just wanted to remind you that I do have an ordering special. It's a free ink pad with any order over $60. And then a few little bonus things. This month I do have an Easter tutorial that I'm sending via PDF to anybody who places an order with me this month. So you'll receive that. And today, for anybody who's used my host code for this Stampin' the Rainbow extravaganza, and anybody who uses it today before 11 p.m., you will be entered in a draw actually to win this box and set of cards. So kind of like an extra little bonus. So anybody who's already ordered using this host code, thank you so much, and you are entered. And anybody who wants in on that, you have till 11 p.m. tonight to place an order, and all the ordering information is in the link here on the description of this video, or you can just contact me directly. It's Saturday, we're having a lazy day, and I'm here to help you. All right, so now I've just inked up the words "sending lots of" in crumb cake. I haven't glued down my happy, I've just kind of positioned it generally where I want it. So I can see that this is going to have to go up in the top corner, and I'm going to stamp that. So it's just up in that top corner of the label. We're stamping the "sending lots of." Okay, now we're going to attach this with some mini dimensionals. Let's see. You can use regular ones or chop regular ones up, but the mini ones are just really a nice size to be able to get into all the little nooks and crannies. So one here down on the bottom of the Y, one here on the top of the H, and then a couple behind the P and the A. There we go. I'm not going to worry about attaching those longer ends. If you wanted to, you can cut down dimensionals and put them underneath the loops on the H and the Y, but I'm not worried about it. All right, and then we're going to put this onto our card as straight as you can, and we're going to grab some, actually first of all we'll attach this to our card front. So you can grab some regular dimensionals, or actually that is what I'm going to do, or you can cut up the edge of your mini ones and that works as well. I have a brand new pack of dimensionals here, so I'm going to crack into those. And so I'm doing one in each corner, and I'm going to attach this to my card front. Now the reason I'm attaching this to my card front before I start adding the flowers is because when I add the flowers, I'm going to be attaching them. Oops. So put this down so it covers up your adhesive. Now when I attach these little flowers, I'm going to be attaching them with two different adhesives. I'm going to be using mini dimensionals and mini glue dots. And what's going to happen here is I'm going to put a mini dimensional on one petal, and then I'm going to skip a petal and put a glue dot. So on the back you can see it's mini dimensional, skip a petal, glue dot. And what that does for me is it allows me to put this down so that a glue dot is adhering it to the label, and a mini dimensional is adhering it to the background so it doesn't sag. And then I will just repeat that process with my other two flowers. And so it doesn't matter where you start. It's just a matter of once you've got the one, then you've got to skip one before you do your glue dot. And then when you go to line this up, grab it by one that doesn't have adhesive. Make sure that that one with the dimensional is going off the card, the one with the glue dot is going onto the label. And one more. Oops. There we go. All right. And the last one, I think we'll put it down here like this. All right, so now those are all really nice and secure. We are now, oops, I didn't put those in the box. There we go. We are now going to embellish this a little bit, and I pulled out some embellishments that I think may have been forgotten because Christmas is gone, but these are still in our annual catalog. These are our gold glitter enamel dots. Okay, and they are just perfect for this card. So I'm going to use the larger ones. Oh, no, this is one of the problems. I think the enamel dots are not going to be in our next catalog because sometimes they come apart. Now I'm just going to be able to glue that back on to fix that, but to prevent that from happening, I am going to grab my Take Your Pick tool. Oops. And so you want to just really slide underneath. You can use the spatula end or the pointy end to do this, and then I'm really going to line them up before I push down. Once I've pushed down, those are stuck. They're not going anywhere. All right, so again, line that up and then push down. And finally, yeah, because otherwise if you're using your fingers, I find I tend to not go far enough under, and then I'm pushing the enamel dot part off of the colored part behind. All right, good afternoon, Lisa. Now, we're going to do a little bit more decorating because we have these adorable little tiny gold ones. All right, so we're going to come in here and see if I can pick this one up. Oh my, it's not wanting to cooperate. Oh, come on. Okay, we'll try a different one. Maybe that one just doesn't want to cooperate. Nope. Okay, come on, you guys. Ah, now he's on my fingertip. Okay, so we're going to get him onto our card and try and get him placed where we would like him. Oh, thank you, Joanne. All right, so I think I'm going to put a few down here. And so yeah, once you actually push those down, they're really stuck. So now I have that one that's kind of loose. Oh, too much putty coming out the end there. So I'm going to actually use the putty end to pick him up and put him down. Now I don't know, this one's not been loosened yet. These are really stuck on. So you want to loosen them with the one tip and then pick them up with the other tip. And that's what this Take Your Pick tool is all about. I don't use it nearly often enough. I usually ruin at least one enamel dot before I remember to pull this tool out, but it is super handy. So you just use the one tip to loosen them, the putty tip to pick them up, and then we'll decorate those. All right, so with that all done, we're finally going to attach this to the front of our box, and I'm just going to do that with liquid glue. You could also use tear and tape because this is already put together. It might stick a little bit easier. I just love the simplicity of liquid glue. It's so fast, even though it does take a little while to dry. It's so fast to be able to put your project together. Oh, now I apparently have a reminder to do something. Sorry guys. I'm just going to move my camera for a second. There we go. I had a glimpse at my really messy desk and my giant box of cinnamon hearts. I actually received 2 of those boxes at Valentine's, and so we're almost through the first one. It's taken 7 of us since Valentine's Day. All right, so here we go. That has been attached. So I just put my hand in to kind of like create some pressure behind to help adhere that. And that is the front of our gift box all decorated. So as you can see, we now have this beautiful box with the gold ribbon and the gold embellishments and the gold acetate. And then when we open this up, so we untie that, open this up, we have these 2 little pockets here with all of our cards inside. So it's our little pot of gold holding our rainbow all together. And then we can just seal that back up by tying a quick bow on the side. All right, so let me just get that bow tied. Oops, trying to rush it there. All right, so our bow tied on the side, and that is our card box. Yeah, so that is our last project for Stampin' the Rainbow Extravaganza. I have so enjoyed meeting with you guys every morning and stamping. I'm actually going to kind of miss it. I guess I only have 1 day off, and then I'll be back with my 9 a.m. Tuesday regular video. And then my kids are on spring break, so I'm going to go spend some time with them, and you won't see me doing as many videos for this, their first week of spring break, my second. So I have enjoyed this a lot. Thank you so much, Karen. And yeah, you have guys till 11 p.m. to place an order using my host code. That's that 9UR222TR host code, or contact me directly to place an order. You'll be automatically entered into a draw to win this pack of cards and the fancy box for them to all be in. And if I do have to mail it, I have a nice box that will hold it all together, so it won't get wrecked in the mail. And yeah, so anywhere in Canada, you guys are eligible for that, as well as any orders will receive my 19 project Easter tutorial bundle. And so it's 19 projects from 19 demonstrators, I think globally. I don't even think it's just across Canada. I think we have people from all around the world who contributed to that. And so some beautiful projects, either for this year, if you get your order in today, you'll have your stuff in time to create before Easter, or the projects really are like there's some 3D projects and cards and stuff like that, and so it's stuff that you could grab your stuff now and create for next year, or grab the tutorial and wait and just do all of your creating next year. But you'll have all those wonderful ideas. So yeah, there's that. And then finally the free ink pad. So lots of reasons to place an order today, and make sure to snap up any of those retiring in colors that you may want. I have a post up showing the 5 colors that are retiring. Rococo Rose cardstock is already sold out. I saw that Pretty Peacock is on low inventory, and those things are gone. Like when they're gone, they're gone. And just so you guys know, those colors, anything that they're in as well, will be gone. So like the Ice Cream Corner Designer Series paper has Purple Posy and Terracotta Tile in it. It's gone. The sprinkles will be gone. A lot of our ribbons have those colors in them. The Playful Patterns paper has the Purple Posy in it. So there's I would guarantee most of our Designer Series paper will be gone. I would be hard pressed to find one that doesn't include one of those retiring in colors. So yeah, make sure you're grabbing those items that you've had your eye on for a while, or if you know that you already have a drawer full of Purple Posy cardstock, grab some ribbons, grab some Designer Series paper to go with that, because you don't want to miss out. And yeah, so that's about it. We'll see you guys at 9 a.m. Tuesday for my regular Facebook Live. Bye.